everybody. Jean here. I'm in my front room, and if you have been following along with me on my block party, you'll have my block party 14, block 14. You'll have noticed that I was talking about a quilt that I was making. I've been working on it for a few weeks. And it's a jelly. I've used one jelly roll, and I said before I don't love jelly rolls, but I like to come up with something a little bit different instead of just sewing rows together, which that's what a lot of people do, and I've done it also. So I was using this jelly roll, and I have over the last few days, the last couple weeks, I've been filming myself just in my sewing room. No like great tutorial or anything like that. I just set my camera up and showing the whole process. So this is going to be like maybe two or three parts of video from start to finish of my jelly roll. Sort of like if you followed me my Lone Star journey. But I have finished my project. But I'm going to start, I'm going to put up my first one to like my deciding on my fabrics. You'll see. And then in the construction phase. So there will be part 1, part 2, and I believe part 3 of my quilt. But I will have finished it so you can keep in mind what my quilt looks like. And this is it. This is my jelly roll quilt. And I go through the whole process of how I actually chose the fabrics, why I chose the fabrics that I did, how I quilted this the way I did, what type of fabrics I used, the colorways that I've chosen. So this is my quilt. It's as I explained it, it's one jelly roll, which is 42.5-inch strips, but actually I just used I used 37 strips, but again, I think I explained it, 5 or 6 of these strips I chose from my yardage, and I just cut because it was a little bit dull. And I go into depth explaining that in the beginning of my video. Now I know you can't see it. I will take pictures at the end of my quilting up close here, which I used the feather stencil, like a feather and cable stencil, which I show you how I did. I show you how oops, it's sort of upside down, sort of how I chose my backing, which is like a, which is sort of like again, I show you close up, like this gray-brown colonial-looking print, because this is a little bit colonial, homespun-y look. Why I chose the checkerboard, the color that I did, and how I chose my fabrics. So, if you're interested, the next few videos, episodes, whatever, are going to be my constructing this quilt. It's a small twin size of a very large, nice lap quilt. I bound it with a pretty, almost like a rose, like a pale rose, because I picked up the rose on the backing, which again you'll see close-ups of it. So this, folks, is the quilt that I've been working on the last 10 days or so. It's finished. I like it. I like it. And again, I show you my whole process of choosing why I chose this jelly roll that I had gotten. It's not really me. I don't gravitate towards browns, as you can see. I'm in my front room, and I like all stuff. My family room is red. It is all red. But this, I like light colors. But I'm real pleased with this. I'm really pleased with this. I will put this in my shop for sale. I was just looking. Here's my clamshell quilt. Oh, it's heavy, and I don't think I'm ready to sell that. You know, that was the one I was working on forever. So anyway, this is the story, the saga of my jelly roll quilt. And again, somebody said, "Oh, you keep." I addressed this in my last tutorial. You keep apologizing. I'm not apologizing. But the next bits to follow in these next few videos are me just in my sewing room doing my thing that I do daily. And that's it. I'm not going to apologize for it. It's just me letting it all hang out. So anyway, you'll be able to follow along how I made this quilt. If you have a jelly roll and about 3 yards of tan fabric, 3 yards of the tan, about 3.5 yards of tan fabric, and about a yard for the checkerboard. This is what you can come up with. So I hope you enjoy the next few episodes of on my channel. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the end. I'll make a little thing at the end, like stay tuned to part 2 of my jelly roll quilt. So thanks for following along. I hope you enjoy something. I hope you beginners, if you might glean something on how to construct it, and I hope you enjoy the next few episodes. All right, folks. Thanks. See ya. Oh, careful.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Hi, everybody. This is Jean here. I'm going to take you, if you don't mind watching me on my day in my quilt room. And I know you've been following along with me, but as you know, I'm doing the block party, and I've just finished my clamshell quilt, and I thought I'm going to start something simple, because that was hard, and that beat me up. I don't want to be beat up again. And I was thinking about, I was trying to put my thinking cap on. I have so much fabric. I have my 10-inch squares and my charm squares and all my yardage. But I thought, I don't love them, as you know. I'm going to try to do something with some jelly rolls that I have. And I haven't really, totally honest, thought about this process. I have made what's called a jelly roll race quilt, and it's basically you sew strips of your jelly rolls, which, if you don't know, are 2.5-inch strips, and a pack of jelly rolls I think has about 40 2.5-inch strips. What you do is you just sew them together. You just sew them together. I made one, and it's boring. It's just boring. But ages ago, I made a jelly roll quilt. Where I changed it up a little bit. I put all the strips together, and then I cut them. Anyway, that's my thought, that I'm going to just go shopping in my room. Now I have some jelly rolls over there. They're more bright colors. But then I have these up here. And I had gotten these ones at Tuesday Morning. They're quite nice, actually. Country Manor. 40 pieces, 2.8 yards of fabric. Actually, I really like that. It's more of a, I just literally just pulled this. I'm not messing. This is more delicate. This is a more delicate one called Anna. Very pretty pastel tones, but I just did my clamshell quilt, and I want to change it up. Sometimes I'm thinking colorways. So many people, so many quilters have their own look. I don't. I like everything. I like a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. I like bright colors. I like primaries. I love pastel florals. I love that. Maybe that's my favorite. But like I did my Lone Star, which was bright and bold. I'm not necessarily drawn to country reproduction. I don't know why I bought that, but I'm looking at it, and at this stage, this point in my brain, I quite like that one. Darlene Zimmerman, Antique Color Story. I quite like that. But then I got these, which are just basic polka dots, all dot fabrics. That might be a little bit too cutesy. And then these again, that's a little bit dark. These I got from Tuesday Morning. Look at this, 20 bucks. 20 bucks for 40. Good deal. Tuesday Morning, it's a shop here. Stained glass. That'll be real bold, and not into that. Not right now. That's another colorway. Oh, these again are well, I bought these a while ago. These are a little bit again more country, like reproduction look. Two different things. But these, look at that, $17.99 for all of that. These are more brown. These are browns and a bit of dusty rose, you know, that dusty sagey green, dusty green browns. I don't usually gravitate towards that, but then I have to think, well, my end quilt, I think I'm going to use that. My end quilt will be quite country. So I think I'm going to use this. Now, the look that I'm wanting is, I've made this before, just from my brain, is you sew all your strips together, which I'll be showing you along the process. And then you need a background. I'll show you. So with this jelly roll, I'll show you up close in a minute. I love unwrapping jelly rolls. So, so cool. Yeah, look at that, country manner. With this look, I want like oh, it's dark. Oh. Yeah, I'll show you in a minute. There's more. Yeah, it's really country, like reproduction, Civil War almost. Don't love that look, but I want to make something different, and I will love it when it's done, of course. Yeah, that's pretty. So now what I want is a fairly neutral tan or something to ground all of these prints. So I go to my tan section, my cream section, and I don't know how much I'll need. Oh, this is pretty. This is pretty. It has writing on it: charity, hope, love, faith. It's sweet. Then I got to figure out if I have enough. I might, for like what I need. I'm going to need at least that, and then a border. Oh yeah, it's not. I've used this fabric. Oh yeah, I've cut into this fabric. But I think I'll have enough length. I think I might use this. I think that's pretty. So you see how the tan, that's a fluke. I just pulled that. And I think I might have enough of that. If not, because once I get to the doing it, I might not have enough of it. So I'm thinking if I don't have enough of this, which is really pretty, I need to have another one or two options. Now here are some. Oh, I like that. Oh yeah. See, I like that. That is a real pretty. Oh, so pretty. It's a cream with a sparkly little gold dot, but I know I don't have enough. I need the length, so I need yardage. You can always, I need yardage, like, this quilt has sort of borders, you'll see it. I could use width of fabric, so I don't need, but I don't like to actually piece my borders. I like to use the length. And also when you use the length of the fabric, you need a bit more fabric, but it doesn't stretch as much. Your borders don't get wavy. Oh, my iron just popped up. That's funny. So I don't have enough of that. Let me see. I'll get my handy dandy. I think I see something up here. Got my handy dandy step stool out. So, oh, careful I don't whack myself. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, I don't know if you can see. This is so pretty, but it's more like a floral butterfly. It's too busy. Oh, no, it won't go. I like that. So I just want to tan. That's too busy. And I need yardage. Here's pretty. It's very similar. I have a lot of that. I'm just trying to think. That's sweet. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Can you see that? Me and my stripes. I do like stripes. But yeah, you might think, like, what does this colonial stuff have to do with this? But look how pretty and rich. So I don't know if I have enough. Well, I have, oh, I do have a length. Do I have two? I have two lots of this stripe, but I like that one. Anyway, I'll mess about. I might, again, what do my quilts do? They evolve. They evolve. So I'll just, that's pretty, I don't have enough of that one either. I have all this fabric, but when I go to do my borders, I need a lot. This is sweet. Nope. So anyway, I quite like that one. Let me get down here. You must excuse my appearance. This is how I normally work. When I make a video, well, I'm making a video now, but I look a mess. But when I make a video, I go upstairs and I put a top on and I actually put makeup on. I never wear makeup. I put some lipstick on. And oh, I was looking at I should. I was looking at I'm watching. I'm stuck. Oh, I'm stuck. It got stuck. I was looking at videos of people doing tutorials, and they have, whoops, they have real pretty nails, nail polish. I have never worn nail polish in my life. I don't know. I like natural stuff. Like, I don't wear a lot of jewelry, as you can see. I don't wear a lot of makeup. I cut my own hair. I chop it off with my scissors. Thank goodness I have forgiving hair. And I was thinking, oh, I should do nail polish, but my hands are 61-year-old hands. And I'm thinking, I don't really want to call attention to them. And then I have my sliced off finger. Anyway, why am I saying that? Okay, back to my quilt. So here's this. I like, and you're thinking, what the heck? This is pretty, my Faith, Hope, Charity. But actually, when I'm looking at fabric, back to fabric selection, folks, this fabric here has a, you can't see, but I'll show you up close. It has it's a creamy golden tan, as is this one, but this has more of a pink look. It has more pink undertones, whereas this has more sort of more of a gray, and it's not pink and gray, of course, so tan fabrics. But I like this one because I want to try to highlight just a few like dusty roses. Oh, there's quite a few of them. Oh, actually, I might have to actually. There's only a few dusty roses, and I really like them. And this burgundy. So I might actually pull. I saw a couple of them, like here. This one I hardly have, like that. I think I might actually pull and cut a few 2.5-inch strips out of my sort of my dustier roses to sort of liven it up. It's a little bit too brown and colonially country. So I have quite a few of those dusty pinks that I think I'll go back with my ladder, and I'll actually pull a few of them and cut for, yeah, like this one, like that one. See, that goes, that's a little purple, but I like that. Just a 2.5-inch strip. So what I'll do is I'll just cut some more strips. I'll just use the 40. I'll see how it goes, how big it is. I think it's a fairly decent size quilt when you sew 40 2.5-inch strips. What would that make? I might not even make it that big, because then what I do is you have a quilt that's like 60 or 70 inches long, but only by 40 inches wide or something. So that's what I do. I slice it and then I add pieces just to break it up. But on what I've done with this quilt, I've actually, well, that's a bit, again, that's a bit purpley. What I'm envisioning, which I did before, and I did it on what? I've done it recently on my my elephant quilt. I love checkerboards. And when you think of checkerboard, you think of actually checkerboards, you know, which are like folky, colonially. So I think what I would do, my elephant was a scrappy checkerboard, if you remember. I think what I would like to do with this, I would like to do just I like this, like a chocolatey burgundy with just the cream to make it just a two-tone checkerboard. So what I'll do is I'll go over here to this area. Whoops, watch my iron. And I'll try to pull a burgundy. It will be here. I will find. I don't need an awful lot. And let me see. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty. Now this is more brown. Isn't it funny? And this is a bit more red, and that's a bit more purple. But I think just those little tiny bits, that's a real pretty print. It's a real pretty, this piece of fabric I've had forever. I'll check it to see if it's not going to run because it's a red. And what I do is I take some spit or some water, not spit, water, and rub it. And if it comes off red, then I won't use that. Because some of the older fabrics, I made one mistake once, and it ran. But that's a real pretty, it's a pretty piece of fabric. Yeah, this is an old print I have. Most of the fabrics are color fast now. They're fine. But I like that for a nice bold checkerboard. That color checkerboard around. Anyway, I'm probably boring you. I'm going to start sewing. I'm going to cut a few of these strips, and I'm going to start sewing my my strips together. And there's a method to sew jelly roll strips together that you don't get the curve. You know, sometimes when you start sewing them, all of a sudden they're starting to curve. You have to be real careful because they can stretch on you. And what you do is you start sewing one line down, just making sure you're not pulling at all. You're just, because remember cotton, the fiber is wonderful, but it stretches to your advantage, but sometimes to your disadvantage. And then you get this strip, and these are all cut exactly the same. You might have half an inch at the other end, and you're like, so what you do when you're sewing your strip sets together, you sew down one side very carefully, like I said, and then you turn it around, and then you start from the other end. And again, if you need to pin a strip set to keep everything nice and flat. I learned my lesson one time years ago. I thought I was so clever. I started sewing this jelly roll together. I'm sewing, and my was this supposedly to be square quilt ended up like with this bow, and it was supposed to be a fairly large quilt, and I just had to, it didn't square up at all, or it was horrible. So I ended up cutting about, I just fudged it. I cut out about 10 inches off the bottom to try to make it like somehow like be square. That was a mess. I gave that away to someone. I don't think I liked them. No, I liked them. But it was funny because I learned my lesson. Strip sets, you know, and actually I made a quilt with a jelly roll, and if you remember several videos ago, I actually cut them in half. Because when you're working with a piece of fabric that long, gotta just be very careful. And that's the basis of this quilt. I'm sewing a bunch of strips together. So anyway, I'm gonna go cut some of these pretty dusty roses that I like, keeping with the colonial look, this colonial look. I'll cut my strips, and then I'll show you up close what I mean about these fabrics. I'll see how this fabric is, and if not, it's so pretty. But if it's color fast, oh, I see here, I had made a quilt. Look at that. Whereas this is binding. Isn't that funny? It's red and white. I made this quilt. I don't know why. Look at all this binding I have left. Whatever was I thinking? So I don't know what I'm thinking now because it doesn't really match. Although I'm looking at red and white gingham, and that that's sort of like, that's too cutesy. Anyway, that's that. I made a bunch of binding. Anyone want a bunch of binding? So anyway, I'm gonna get my fabrics sorted out, and then I'm gonna start sewing my strips together, and we'll see how this quilt, see how it comes along. Okay, thanks. Now before I start, I just want to show you something before I start sewing my strip sets together. I just want to show you. What I do is I just pulled I have a pretty fabric, as you know, and I pulled another fabric, which I've just done my little experiment on. Now, what I do is I wet with hot water. I wet a paper towel with hot water, and what I do is I just take the corner of a piece of fabric of red. I really wet it and move it, and maybe you can see no dye is coming off. And let me just see. This is RJR fabric 2010. This is 8-year-old fabric. But if you can see that fabric is absolutely dye fast. Now I just want to show you something with a fresh piece of cloth. Fresh piece. I pulled this. Now I've had this fabric forever. I don't know who it is. I've used this. I used this in some handbags that I had made because I had done this before. I just wanted to show you. Pretty. This is a pretty fabric. It has like a gold, it's a burgundy red paisley with gold flecks in it. Now I don't know if you can see that. Probably not, but I see a hint of color. I just see a little bit of palest creamy pink. So I know, and I've done this before, I know that this red will run. And so what I've done is I keep this in my stash. I will make this for a handbag or for a tote. For a small pot holder, which it really doesn't matter if you wash it and it runs. I'm not bothered about that. Something, or like a handbag or something that's lined, that you know. I mean, it's not going to run horrifically, because some reds, you can do that and your cloth will come up red. I mean, it's shocking. This is just a hint. So I know, and I've known this from the past, I only have a few fabrics that are red, sometimes a black. I always do this test, because as you know, I do not pre-wash my fabrics. I like them like this, and there's all sorts of, like, you know, pre-washing versus no pre-washing, and it's a very heated debate between pre-washers and non-pre-washers. But this is how I check myself if a fabric is going to be suitable for a quilt, because I do not want it to ruin my quilts or my finished product without having to wash everything. And I'm assured that when this is washed, that this fabric, which is a better fabric, but even I do this with all fabrics, whether they be cheap fabric or whether they be very, very expensive fabric. And I've had expensive fabrics run. So that whole train of thought that the more money you spend, you know, the better quality, it's mostly true, but it's not 100% true. So if you're working with reds, sometimes navy blues and sometimes blacks, maybe you'll want to do a run test, just like that. So that's just a little aside. I'm at my machine, and having just done this, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have quite a few to go. Now my thought process is I'm just going to be doing sort of dark, light, dark, light. So here's a nice dusty rose. I've not cut this one, so I've just matched this up at the top. 1/4-inch seam. I'm actually sewing with a like a tan creamy Aurifil. Now what I'm doing is I'm not pinning, as you can see. I'm literally just laying that piece on the top there and not stretching it in the least. I'm just laying it and almost holding it in increments. So it's just, there's no stretch, there's no pull. 1/4-inch, it's just stitching along. The bottom is stitching as well as in the same way as the top is being pulled along, I should say. Because I forget, is it the bottom that pulls or is the top? I don't know. One of them pulls and stretches with the teeth going. So I'm just literally just relaxing the fabric and laying it on top. I don't have to pin. I just pull it along, I just lay it on top. Now I come to my end here, and hopefully, that's in the frame, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully this end matches up. Now my end matches up beautifully. And so all my laying down and just smooth it without tugging at all, my ends match up beautifully. So I know there's zero curve in this strip that I'm doing. Absolute zero curve. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just leave that for a minute, and I'll go back on the other side, and I'll put, let me see, oh yeah, now see, now what I'm going to show you is there's this big selvage up there. So I knew that I sewed that this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the actual, which one do I want to use? I'll use this one on this one. Now I'll use one of theirs. I'll put two browns together. But I want to sew the other end because I started on this end. You might get a bit confused. Just be careful. Then I'll put my strip down, and then I'll sew my opposite onto the top of my strip. You'll be tempted to just put strip on top of strip on top of strip, but that way you can't be alternating your rows. So I'm going to actually relax this fabric here, relax the strip set on top of that 2.5 inch strip. Whereas, as I said, you'd be tempted to just start sewing strips together. And I don't know, maybe you can alternate them somehow, I don't know. This is the way I do it. And then you just lay that gently. I'm not pulling, I'm not tugging, I'm just laying. And then I just literally lay it on top. I relax this fabric, whichever is on top, I just relax it and just lay it there. And as you can see, I'm only doing 5-6 inches at a time, laying it on there, not pinning it. My 1/4 inch seam. Now I come to the end and let me see. Those, look, they come together absolutely perfectly. Then I can hold my end and just relax it along, having laid it there. And my ends meet perfectly. And you know that if you continue doing that, you will have zero bowing or curves. So now I'm going to come along, I'm going to set that seam, and I've done that end and I've done that. Set that seam and set that seam, and then I'll come and I'll press. I'll go over to my ironing board right now, and I will see which way the seams are going, set them and press them, and then I'll measure sort of these to make sure I'm all nice and straight. I'll continue like that for my whole quilt until I get however many looks good. I just want to show you how far I've come along just sewing my strips together. And I just wanted to reiterate how important it is to alternate your strips. And also, about every 3 strips, I went over to my ironing board and very, very carefully, I set my seam, and then I rolled all of my seams to the same side. Oh, I have to do that one. They're all going one way. And again, we're always, pressing to the dark. Well, this one, it could be light or dark. But I'm checking. Here's my line. And here's the top of this one. Very nice. And then this one is straight across there. There's no bowing. There's no curving. I'm real pleased. And I'm going to keep doing this every few strips. You're tempted to just sew them all together, even if you alternate. As you can see, some of the selvage is up here, some of the printed selvage is here. So you have to be aware that when you're sewing your strip sets together, when you're sewing your strips together, sometimes like you're tempted to put your strip on the top and sew. Well, then you turn it around and you're like, well, this is on the top of my one little strip. Well, that's okay. Do it that way because that is how you alternate. your strips. Again, I pulled this one. You can see I pulled that one. I cut this one from my fabric, and it's just a little, as you can see, it just brightens up, in my mind. This just brightens up the dark browns of this quilt. I like it. It's just lifted it a little bit because there is a tremendous amount of dark browns. I'll continue using the browns and the fun, but I liked pulling the little bit of roses just to add a little bit of pop to this otherwise fairly subdued. It's a Robert Kaufman. Yeah, Robert Kaufman, the fabric line. So I have some more other colors like this. So I'm just going to continue every few rows. I go over and I set my seams and I press them, and then I check to make sure everything is lovely and straight. Now, because I actually cut from some of my yardage, some of my strips, all fabric is not the same width. So you might be like panicking, like, oh no, this one is, however, 42, 40, whatever it is. Just make sure, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to bring you over to my sewing machine now, and I'm going to show you without pins how I literally just lay the strip on top of my set and sew, so that I'm not pulling at all. That is the whole thing of sewing jelly rolls together. You don't stretch it at all. I'm going to take you over to my machine and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, well, we got that far on the construction of my quilt. The next few bits is me sewing more strips together, and how I actually constructed and made the cream here, what I did to do it. So stay tuned, folks, for part 2 of my jelly roll quilt. Okay, thanks.